right, guys, so a warm welcome to you again to our teacher exchange program. It's lovely to have you guys online. Again, this program is a wonderful opportunity if you are a qualified teacher with experience, if you have a bachelor's degree. We're going to discuss all of the ins and outs that you need to know about in order to qualify for the program, what you need to have, where this program is, how it works. So sit back, relax, prepare your questions for the end. You're welcome to ask questions. You can type them in the chat box along the way. So let's kick it off by chatting about our locations tonight. So we work with the state of Texas. We have a variety of different areas in Texas with a load of different schools to choose from. So when it comes to being a teacher in Texas, we're going to talk about, first of all, how you are eligible for the program. So to qualify, you need to be between the ages of normally about 21 and older, because that's obviously once you've got your experience, and that's just preferable in a classroom environment. You have that mature sort of status, be able to handle the classroom, etc. All the way up to 55. So if you are a very well seasoned teacher, then fantastic, you can also qualify. You must be fully vaccinated to travel to the United States and have a good command of the English language. And all of these programs will depart once a year, so you need to make yourself available every July. So if July 2023 is not the year for you, you can quite happily sign up for seasons to come. Maybe you need to get more experience or say finances and so on. There are financial commitments to the program. We'll discuss the finances as well. In order to qualify and how to be eligible as well, when we look at the qualifications that you need to have, the first one is obviously a bachelor in education. So that is your standard teaching degree. If you have a bachelor with honors, or if you have anything to do with your education, that is your primary degree to have. Then we also place in the fields of maths, sciences, special education, and Spanish. So if you have a bachelor's degree, which is in any one of these subjects, you would also be eligible to apply. Doesn't have to be a degree in education, degree in maths, science, special needs, or Spanish. You must have 2 years full-time work experience in a classroom. So essentially you would need to either do a calendar year or not even a calendar year. It can be like 6 months here, then a year there, and then another 6 months, as long as you have 2 years of documented teaching experience. But at the time of your application, you must be a full-time teacher. So if you are not a full-time teacher, you must be enrolled in like a post-grad education or something else other than that, and have graduated within 12 months or about to graduate, and then you go to America. So there's 3 criteria: the qualification, 2 years work experience, and currently teaching or currently in your top-up studies, not your degree studies, your top-up studies, so further education. Then to get hired, I would say it's all about a great command of the English language and classroom management. We all know American schools are quite tough. They're quite different to South Africa. So you need to be firm and you need to have a good grasp on a classroom. It can get quite tough in the American classrooms. So they're going to want to know that you, are going to lead the classroom and do a good job within that classroom environment. Other skills is obviously going to be the basics, which we've just spoken about, the eligibility criteria. They want to know that you have experience, whether you have 2 years or 17 years, it all works, in your favor. But it's all about your attitude. It's all about your enthusiasm, your willingness to bring culture into the school, to be able to be enthusiastic, and really, be an inspiration for the children that you're going to be teaching, and to really be a creative teacher. It is also going to be a cultural program. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a J program. So it's a J1 visa. J1 visas are always about cultural exchange. It's about that opportunity for you to go to America and to share your South African, Namibian, anywhere in Africa where you've come from, culture and your way of living, your traditions, and all those sorts of things, so that you can share in the holidays and likewise bring the American traditions back to your country. Moving on to our school districts. So when we talk about placements in America, it is they work in districts, and within the district of Austin, Dallas, Houston, Odessa, those are the 4 districts, which are the big cities and the surrounding areas of that city. And within that area, all the schools are run by the state and by the area. So when you actually do an interview, you will be interviewed by the district, and you will be given the approval by the district. But as to exactly which school within the district that you will go to, that gets determined a little bit further after the interview. So in this whole process, I'll talk about the timeline just now. You might not know your exact school until, say, March or April before you depart in the July. So the exact school comes a bit later. Those are the areas. So we've got Austin in the middle here, Dallas up top, Houston to the east of it, and Odessa to the west. In order of I guess, cost of living, you've got Austin, which is probably the highest cost of living. Then you've got Dallas and Houston, and then Odessa, which is a little bit more outlying, where your cost of living is not as high as the big cities. I was in America last week, and I was chatting to our teach partners, and we are talking about focusing quite a bit on Houston and Dallas, because those seem to be very popular areas for our South African and African market. So just as a little extra piece, if you're looking for a specific area. The season is open, and it opens normally around about May, June, July of every year. So once this year's teachers left in July, the schools already start recruiting for the new season to come. And the recruitment process is such that you would apply between May and December, and you would go through the whole process of going through a pre-screening. So you will have an interview with our partner, and they will determine if you are placeable, if that's even a word, but if they feel that you have a good chance of being accepted by a school, and going through your intentions for the program. So that pre-screen happens anywhere up until December. Then we do the actual school interviews between January and April, and then obviously placements with this program are 3 years. So if you leave in July 2023, your contract will go all the way up to 2026, and your visa will be valid up to 2026. You can renew your program up to a maximum of 5 years, so an extra 4th and 5th year. Obviously, if you like the school, if the school likes you, you can change placement areas. So if you want to move to a different area of America and teach at a different school, you can do that. There is just a lot more red tape involved with it, and it does require you to do a few more application steps. You can't just go from one school to the next, but you can essentially teach for up to 5 years, and you can just in the little back of your head, potentially stay long-term in America. So that's kind of a nice way to think of it, that it is a really long-term investment, which is great. If you decide after 3 years you're done and you want to come home, or after 5 years and you're done, you want to come home, if you spend 2 years outside of the US, you can do this program again after that as well. You can go back for another 3 years as well. So that's quite fun. All right, so positions of placements. We've got the sciences, which could be your biology, your science, your chemistry, absolutely anything to do with your sciences, maths, and anything to do with mathematics. And then special education is teaching children with special needs and so on. Yeah, anything within those scopes. And then Spanish, obviously, very straightforwardly, is Spanish. You have the basic levels of kindergarten all the way through to your secondary, potentially even tertiary level, so your high school. Often we find that if you're teaching at a specific level, you might go back 1 or 2 grades just because of the education system, and obviously American kids are pretty mature. So maybe if you've been teaching in high school, you may be put with elementary school. But this can all be discussed in your pre-screen interview as to how our partners feel and where they feel you'll be best suited for a placement. When it comes to a person who's got a Bachelor of Education, you would be open to a general teaching position. So you could teach all subjects. Typically, you're going to be obviously looking at the lower grades because as you start getting older, you start specializing in different subjects. So a general education degree, if you've been a foundation phase teacher, or a elementary, you know, well, not elementary, but an high school, like a primary and a what is it, grade 3 to 7 nowadays called? Those grades you could teach within those. That's your elementary in America, so you could fit in on your primary schools. And then if we move on to teaching life, so just to give an idea of what your life's going to look like as a teacher, your work days are sort of 7:38 to 3 or 4 p.m. So you work very similar to here, I would think nowadays, except for in South Africa, you might have your extracurricular, your sports and so on. In America, you will do extracurricular if you get involved in the sports, if you have that knowledge and experience. They obviously do all the, you know, the school dances and things like that you see on the American TV and so on. That will be additional pay if you work and do those extracurriculars as well. Your typical semesters will start in August, run through to December. You'll have your normal Christmas break, but like in America, unlike South Africa, it's only 2 weeks. And then you will go back to school from Jan through March. April, do like your Easter holidays, and then have the long way through until the summer. And I see that, guys, if you can just keep yourself muted. We know with the American summer that let me just mute that person, whoever it might be. There we go. Okay, here we go. So with the American summer, it's that long period from June, July, all the way through to August again. So that's when they have their main holidays, like we have it over our summer holidays in South Africa. Cross-cultural classroom day is basically when, so again, going back to the fact that you need to be a teacher in South Africa, when you can connect your American classroom with your South African classroom, and you guys can actually have an interactive teaching day. So that is the most important part of the program, is that one day of the year you have this cross-cultural exchange where you connect up your current school with your old school. So as part of the application process, your school in South Africa has to agree to working with this wonderful opportunity of exchange. So that when you're in America, you need to obviously keep in touch with your school as well, so that that can happen. Most of your classrooms have about 28 to 35 scholars, students, and sometimes if it's the bigger classrooms, you may have an assistant teacher, not always. It just depends on the setup of the school. And then your salaries are going to start at 60,000 per annum. So you're looking at around about $5,000 US per month, possibly with your extracurriculars. Some schools may pay more, but that is on average what you're looking at as your annual earnings. So nice money that you can save, travel, cover all your living expenses, and so on. Right. So you do get to live a normal life, and we encourage you to have fun. Go out, see things, do things, experience America, have a bit of fun, and really get, take time off. Or if you have your various breaks, like I just mentioned, go and do some traveling and sightseeing in America. There's such beautiful cities. In the background is Austin. That's where I was last week, meeting with AAG. That's where our partner's office is. It's a beautiful city. So if you want to go to Austin, very funky, very retro, and lots of cool places to see and things to do there as well. You do need to budget well. You're going to have costs such as transport, food, utilities, rent, personal items, anything like you would like with normal life here in South Africa, and bills to pay. You don't pay rent, you're going to get kicked out. If you don't rock up at work, and if you're late for work, you will get fired. So the same sort of policies that happen here in South Africa are going to be the same that side. So, you do have to understand that it is a commitment, it's a job, and it is a responsibility to be there and be part of the program, and that there are consequences if you deviate off of those rules and regulations. You can take spouses and dependents. So yay, if you are married or if you have a partner, you can take them along with any children. You have to wait about 2 to 3 months before they can join you. So it is possible, but just at a little bit of a later stage. And then with the spouse, they are able to work. Kids can go to school and so on. And then with the program, we set you up with housing options. However, you are welcome to search online for your own apartment. You can share an apartment. There's lots of different resources on finding a place to live, but your housing will be your responsibility with our guidance, because obviously it's going to be the place where you live. You can also find temporary accommodation just for a few months or a few weeks. And then once you actually get into the country, maybe you realize that it's easier to stay in a particular area because the commute to work is easier, or the cost of living is cheaper, or whatever. So, you don't have to commit to that house for the whole 3 years. But we will guide you on places so that when you arrive in America, you're going to have your accommodation to go straight to, and then your workplace to visit. Then just to give you, oh, yummy, this reminds me of the Texan barbecue I had. So this is a typical Texan barbecue. If you guys love your meat and your barbecues and cookouts and so on, Texas is famous for barbecue. So really enjoyable evening out with lots of good food. The annual earnings, as I mentioned, breaks down to $5,000 US per month. You will have to pay tax. You won't pay in your first 2 years, and then you will pay your tax. Based on your earnings scale, you can look at about 20% tax. You've got your housing costs, which can vary quite a lot. Your $750 can be cheaper, but then it's going to be shared housing, maybe even sharing a room with somebody in an apartment, in a big dormitory style kind of thing, which, if you're a bit older, that's not your scene. And then if you're wanting a private apartment that's, got all the bells and whistles, you're going to look more at the 2,000 kind of mark. So you need to be wise with your housing choices, because it can get pricey. And if you are looking to do the program, have a look at the cost of living in those 4 different places that I mentioned. Google what food costs, what rent costs, what transport costs, and then work out for your earnings what is going to work out best for your pockets. Budget for your transport, your food, as I mentioned, you can see it all there. And then obviously things like your utilities, your phone, your internet, your a social night out here and there is what you're going to need to look at as well. So there you have it, your earnings and living costs. Included in your program and support by the partner, very important, is that when you are on the program, you know that there is going to be a person on the ground and people on the ground that can help out and look after you. You will receive travel insurance. You have your monthly check-ins that you have to do with the Department of State. Once you're in America, we need to know that you are continuously safe and on the right track and path and so on. So It's important that you do a monthly check-in with the partner as well as with the Department of State. Your paperwork for your J1 visa and for your dependents and spouse, the J2 visa, it will be provided to you. So that's good to know as well. The sourcing and screening of housing options for you is our partner's job, as well as obviously finding good schools for you to be placed in. They will also have cultural activities and arrange J1 days where everybody's invited to certain events together that live in the same area, so that you can meet other people that are on the teaching program, have meetups, and have that full-time in-country support. So that's a very good thing to know. How you make an application for the program is that between now and December, you would make your application and do your pre-screen. The time of the application is going to happen all the time between now and a little while ago, July, all the way up for a 9 to 12 month period up until July. So July to July is the entire application process, and then departure the following July. So it is a long road, but there's lots of things to get done along the way. You complete your application from May to November, and you do that pre-screen November, December. If you do apply late in Jan and the season is, there's still positions and so on, it's not that we will reject you, but it's all going to be based on a first come, first served basis and what schools are still available. Once you've had your interview with the school between Jan and April, you will then do your visa interview. So we will help you with your visa application. Once your visa is approved, we will book your flights, and you can go on a one-way flight. And at that point, you would head off and head over to America to begin your experience. You would have an orientation on arrival where you would be reached out to by our partners. If there's a group of you, they would come down to your city and meet up with you guys and make sure that everything is going smoothly. But within that first month, you can also arrive a month before the school time. There's lots of preschool activities that happen. So it's quite nice to arrive early and settle in well. Then in terms of the costs, the big costs for the program start off with an application and acceptance fee. So when you apply to the program, we submit all of your documents to America, and only once you have done the pre-screen and been accepted will you pay your application fee of $9,500. Once you are placed with the school, there's a program fee of $3,000. Now, before you all panic, we have requested, and that's why we're basing our placements potentially on Houston and Dallas, that these schools cover this massive $3,000 cost for you. So fingers crossed, that is the plan for the season ahead. However, if it does not work out and the schools are unable to cover that cost will be your responsibility. It was always the applicant's responsibility, but we are working on a $3,000 discount for you guys for the season coming up. So that'll save you a massive, at the moment, 18, 36, 46, 54,000 Rand for this program, guys. So that's a massive savings of 54,000 Rand that you will not have to pay, as a school will take care of that cost. You do have to get a foreign credential evaluation. That is $200. So that cost you will cover on your side. Okay, so that's roughly 3,600 Rand. Exchange rate at the moment is 1 to 18. So it really works horribly when you have to pay out the dollars. But when you think about that money that you're going to earn in every month, it's a nice whack of money that you will be earning at the end of your end of the salary month. Let's actually work that out. That's quite exciting to think about now. So that's a whopping 1,080,000 Rand that you'll be earning as a teacher every year. Lots and lots of money. Okay. Your travel insurance is included in your program fee, and the next fee you will be liable for is going to be your J1 visa and your SEVIS fee. So your J1 visa is going to be 2,900 at the moment, and your SEVIS fee will be times 18, approximately 4,000. So currently, guys, we're sitting at 9,500. And then we said another 3,600 for the $200, and then we said 2,880 for the visa, and the 220. There we go. we're sitting at about 20,000 Rand, which would have actually been 74,000 Rand. So massive savings so far. Then you need to get to America, right? So you've got an airplane ticket. Let's average it out at 10,000 Rand, for example, or 12,000 Rand. So that takes you up to 32,000. So for a 3-year contract, earning a really great salary, you've got a small upfront fee of about 30,000 so far. And last of all, your big one will be your spending money. Now, this, guys, we can't move away from. It is a non-negotiable, unfortunately, because the situation with the spending money is that with the spending money, it's money to set you up for your rent deposit, because remember, you got to work a month first before you get paid. So until your salary starts coming in, until you've got to buy food and pay transport to get to and from work, you will have to cover those costs. And then obviously once your first salary comes in, then you are on your way. So normally this program would sit up with the current exchange rates, I'd probably say even more than that. But with our fantastic offer, which we chatted about last week in America and managed to hopefully pull off, your program fees are going to come down. Let's times this by 18, and we're going to add on your application and your flights. Guys, you're basically looking at about 86,000 Rand for this program. What will it be? For about 50,000 spending money and 30,000 money that you have to pay in South Africa before you go on the program. So a wonderful opportunity to be able to go and get that potential even residency in America for a fee of 30,000 plus a chunk of spending money in your pockets. If you want to make an application for the program, please submit it to your OVC office. Whoever put you online with me today, go back to them, get a copy of this presentation, get the recording of our Facebook page, send us in your application and let's get you pre-screened. If you want to find us on social media, you can go onto our Facebook page to get that video. We've got other stories and social posts that you can see testimonials and feedback from our clients, see what's going on within the market, etc. I'm going to open up the floor to you guys for any questions. If you have a question, please just raise your hand. You'll see the little raise your hand button. I can unmute you and you can ask. If you would like to type a message in the chat box, you can do so as well. Let me just open that chat box. And then in terms of the guys that have been online with Facebook and in the Zoom tonight. I want to say Instagram with Zoom tonight. If you have not, if you've signed on with a different name and we don't know who you are, if you could just type your name privately to our OVC marketer. She is online. That way we know you are here and we can let your office know that you were here. And we can keep in contact with you. If you've not been in contact with an OVC office already, you are welcome to leave your details with Kendra as well on a private message, and she will have an office reach out to you. You can just send your name, location, and number, and then she will obviously get that info to you. So over to you guys for any questions that you might have. Just having a look at the chat box. Sorry for all of you guys who are having load shedding. Please remember you can get the video offline if you've missed it, so you can rewatch it. And then on our chat box and Facebook, we don't have any questions there, so thank you guys for that. Any questions from our audience tonight? Anybody would like to ask a question of me tonight? Okay, all right. If you'd like to come home and visit during holidays, absolutely, yes, you can do that. So, if you don't want to be in America and you want to come home for the holidays, maybe you can arrange a house that sort of your leases and rent so that you don't have to pay rent for that month, because that'll get quite expensive to pay the rent in the month that you're not living there. Well, just seems like a waste of money. So maybe you can make an arrangement with the rent as well. But you can happily come home if you save up money and want to come home for the summer holidays, for the Christmas holidays. As long as you have no school commitments, then it's fine. Some schools, you know, if they do have holiday things and it would earn you more money, or, you know, it's an opportunity to stay and do something, they all differ. So you can just base it on that. And then just having a look at this slide, which has got the medical open. So just to answer that, the medical insurance is included in the program. So that you'll have that cover on the program as well. Yeah. Right. Anything else from anybody? Guys, if you have all the information that you have and you want to head out, you are welcome to do so. If you want to hang around and keep chatting with me, or have a last question that you'd like to ask, you are welcome to hang online as well. But a very big thank you to you all for joining. I appreciate it. So yeah, any last questions coming through? Okay. All right, I think we are good to go. Thank you guys for having a listen in today. I really appreciate your time. Have a stunning evening. If you are interested in the summer camps in America, the au pairing, or our hospitality internship, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening, we have a program presentation at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights as well. So you can also join in if you want to. The question about limited placements, yes, placements are limited. So there are often in years far too many applicants for the placements that we have. So it's very important that you do apply as soon as possible. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye.